We're talking to Tony Davis, the stroke of the adaptive double, trunks and arms double. They just rode the rep, failed to advance to the A final, so we'll row in the B final to contest, I think, 8 spots going to the Paralympics. Is that right?
Yes.
8.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about your race. Sounds like you had a good full pull, but maybe not as put together as you wanted.
Our race wasn't really technically the best race we had, but I just went out there and tried to give everything I got, and I pulled pretty hard. At the end of the race, my fingers cramped up to where I couldn't move them. My forearms cramped up.
And more.
And then we got into the dock, and my nose started bleeding.
Yeah, all right.
And so I gave everything I got. It wasn't technically sound. Yesterday's race was actually more technical, like mechanics and everything better than today. But if we can combine them and use yesterday's technical with today's power, then I think we actually went faster today too anyways. Yeah. So I think we'll be a little faster tomorrow or Friday, Saturday,
so you have a couple,
whenever we have it.
Do you think you have the time in the boat together? You can combine those two?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think that once we find the rhythm and we find our rhythm, we'll be good. And then I just have to pull harder within the rhythm that we have, instead of just trying to pull all out.
Right.
So
you had mentioned you could talk about your injury and then also how you ended up rowing.
I got hurt in a car accident. I was in the Navy for 5 years, and I was an AW rescue swimmer. Yeah. So a submarine hunter, and I jumped out of a helicopter in the ocean and rescued people. And then I did 18 months at war, Afghanistan and then Iraq. And I was on the U.S. Abraham Lincoln when President Bush came on to the Lincoln.
Okay.
And did the mission complete, signed everything. We bombed Baghdad. I was flying plane guard that night. And so I made it through 18 months, and I was driving home after 5 years in the Navy, and I got in a car accident. And I was in the back seat sleeping, and the Jeep I was in rolled on the freeway, and my seatbelt broke, and I went out the window and curled into the fetal position and bounced off my spine and broke my spine. And then so they fused it back together with bone chunks, and then I spent 4 months in the Seattle VA hospital. And they told me that I was never going to walk again, never going to do anything again. I was going to be a different person. Yeah. And so I never thought about competition. I played semi-pro football, and when I was in the Navy as a quarterback, and I made the All-Navy baseball team as a pitcher. And so I love sports. I've been playing sports since I was a kid. Yeah. And I play basketball for fun. And, I play anything pretty much. Yeah. If you want to, I'm cards. I'll play anything. So I just want to compete. And then after I got hurt, they told me that I didn't know about adaptive sports. So they told me that I was never gonna play sports again. Yeah. And so I started just doing nothing. And then about a year after I got hurt, I didn't want to be in a wheelchair no more. So I was teaching myself how to walk. And then so I lived in the gym and I got stronger, and then I started walking, getting out of my wheelchair, and I started walking. So I taught myself to walk, and then I got really strong, and then I went to the Disabled Veterans Winter Sports Clinic in Aspen, Colorado, where they teach you how to snowboard and do all this other stuff. And at dinner, they had an erg machine on the side, and they were gonna the winner, whoever got the fastest time, won this shirt. And so I was like, well, there was competition, and it was a really cool, nice collared shirt. And so I was like, oh, I'll go over and try it. And I over 500 meters, I did a 2-minute flat. Yeah. And they were like, wow, that's
legitimate.
Yeah. And so I won the shirt, and I got it about an hour later. I got a phone call saying that they want me to go to military Paralympic camp in Fort Lewis, Washington. And so I went to the camp like a couple weeks later, and I played sit-down volleyball, and I rowed, and I swam. Yeah. Being a rescue swimmer, so I was like, well, I can swim, and then, but then I got on the water with rowing, and I felt like I was flying again.
Yeah.
And I felt like I can move myself, and I don't have to. Because when I was in the Navy, I could run too. I ran a mile and a half in 8 minutes and 20 seconds was my average time. And I didn't run the distance, but I ran. I had long legs, and I knew how to use them.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I could run. And then rowing, I felt like I could run again, and I was flying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then I chose not to swim because I love swimming, and I didn't want to have to be like, oh, I got to go swim, and I got to do this again, I just want to go do it for fun.
You did that as your job.
Yeah,
sort of. Yeah.
I did as my job, and it got to the point where every day you'd swim to where you were not looking forward to going to swim. And
Right.
I love it too much not to do that. And so I chose rowing, and then I went. I'm not really sure who put the camp on or who I met in Portland, Oregon, but there are a few coaches there who had adaptive people there.
Yeah.
And so they were full, and so they sent me to a little Vancouver Lake in Washington.
Yeah.
And it's a little, they teach middle school and high school kids how to row.
Right.
And so they never really seen an adaptive rower. And so I went there and learned on an able-bodied Moss 24 boat.
Yeah.
And I just didn't use my legs.
So did you get a chair to go in, or you just?
No, I had a cushion
Wow.
on my seat, and
Yep.
I just went out there and rode, and just didn't. I locked my legs out, so I would just use my.
Yeah.
And it was really good for my balance.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a core, my ab and back
Yeah,
muscles
yeah,
real
bet.
fast, and the lake is 6 miles around, and so we would row. We started out just rowing to the island in the middle and back, and then I'd row 3 times a week, and then by the end of the summer, I rowed rowing around the lake.
Yeah.
3 times a week, and Alan is the coach there, and he taught me how to row. And then I went to a few races in Portland, Oregon, and then I went to the Canadian Masters Championships, and then I went to the Bayada in Philadelphia, and then I did the Crash Bees twice in Boston, and then I just kept with it. And then Karen Lewis, the Paralympic coach, or the national team coach, invited me to a camp in Oklahoma City in April.
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was at the end of April, and I emailed her back and I said, well, because I really wanted to be a rower,
Yeah.
a world-class rower. And
Right.
so I didn't know how to do that or like what it took.
Yeah.
And so I emailed her and said, well, if we're going to go to this camp and I want to be better and I want to get better and I want to be stronger, then why don't we just go now? Right? And so I went 3 weeks early to Oklahoma City before the camp started, and I started training by myself or on my own there. And me and Andrew from the 4, and then Emma from the 4 were the only adaptive rowers. We were the first adaptive rowers at Oklahoma City.
Right.
And so I started training in a single, and then when the camp started, Jackie came, and she was the only girl, and so we started training, and we got faster, and she stayed, and we just trained 2 days, 6 days a week. And in the morning we'd go row, and then we'd come home and I'd pass out, and then I'd eat, and then I'd go row again, and then come home, eat, pass out, and then go do it all over the next day. And so, and we did that for 4 months, and got strong enough, and we got here.
Yeah.
And so, I
Pretty good.
I like rowing.
Yeah. All right.
The first week I was rowing in Vancouver, there was an eagle up in a tree, and I just rowed over to it and looked right at it, and then it took off to another branch, and I just rowed over to it, and it was cool because I didn't have to use my legs to move,
Yep.
and there was no. Like in your wheelchair, you can go to certain spots, but if there's too high of a place there, or there's steps, or there's not a curb cut, or there's something in your way, you can't go there, right? And on the water, I could go anywhere. If I had the muscle and the strength to get there, I was going to get there.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was, and I don't know, the feeling I get when I'm on the water is
Cool.
is irreplaceable, especially since it's been 6 years ago. I got hurt August 25th, 2005, and so it's been 6 years, and I still remember waking up without the ability to use my legs, and so laying there trying to get up, trying to get out, and it just, you can't. And so it's definitely an attitude changer and a life changer.
Yeah.
So the fact that I could do something and
Get to a world championship.
was amazing. And I never thought I would be at a world championship, let alone trying to get in the Olympics or the Paralympics. Like I wanted to be a football player and a baseball player, and I never thought this is where like the great athletes are at. This is like the world. The world's greatest athletes go to the Olympics and the Paralympics and the World Championships.
Right.
And so it's, I don't know, I just never imagined myself here. And then once I was told that I could get here, I just worked really hard, and I just used everything I learned in rescue swimmer school and in the Navy and going to war, and I used the VA hospital because I didn't have the best experience there either.
Yeah.
And then I used everything I got, and then I just gave everything I had, and I made it this far.
Yeah,
so,
it's impressive.
I just, yeah.
All right, well, good luck tomorrow. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
It's great.